Okay, so the problem we're looking at today is the USACO 2020 February contest gold problem 3 of delegation. So you can pause the video first and look through the problem yourself. Okay, I assume you read the problem. So basically, you're given a tree consisting of n nodes. N is at most 10 to the 5th power, and now you're trying to break this tree into a few paths, and each path have to have a length of exactly k. And now you're trying to determine which of these k's are possible for this tree to be divided into. So you can pause the video once again and think about it yourself. Okay, so I assume you thought about the problem. So this one, first I have to say, is way harder than the previous two of this contest, because the 2020 February contest is just overall a really, really easy contest. You can see that the score for promotion is 800, which is above average for gold, and that just shows how much easier it is compared to past contests. And so this one is by far the hardest in this contest, but still not that hard. So first of all, this is like pretty obviously tree DP, right? You're doing DP on tree. However, we know the complexity of tree DP. It's going to be at least ON, and since we have k is at most k is from n to n minus to 1 from 1 to n minus 1. If we run a tree DP for every single k, it's going to give us a way too high complexity of n squared. So how do we do this? Well, the key insight, the key observation for this problem is that we don't have to test every single k. We only have to test the k that are divisors of n minus 1, because only those k's are possible. Because think about it, if you can't even divide k n minus 1 to k groups evenly, there's no way you can get all those passes to be length of k. That's pretty obvious, right? So if we can see this insight, we actually only have to check around the square root of n times n complexity. So now we can run a tree DP. Now the problem becomes, how do we do a tree DP in ON? Well, this is actually pretty easy, because now we just have to, if we know the length, if we know the size of each subtree of n, we can easily see whether this subtree I is okay. Let's say we have subtree x. If we know the size of every single subtree of x, it's pretty easy for us to find whether x is divisible into k subtrees with one extra that has a length of not exactly k, of less than k, because then we can just get the extra length from x's father, right? However, we can do that, we can find the size, but if we just do a recursion to check for the answer for every single node, we're going to have either too high of a space complexity because we need a new array for every single node, or too high of a time complexity because we need to use a map, right? So the solution offered a clever idea here. We don't have to actually check recursively. We can just check using a loop for every single L, because the special part about this tree DP problem is that the answer for the sum of node x doesn't directly affect node x. The only thing of the sum of node x that affect x is the size of the subtree of the sum of node x. So we can find that using a recursion first, and then doing the actual DP, during the actual checking, we just have to run a loop. So that way we can reuse the array m every single time. We don't have to create a new one for every single node because we're not doing a recursion. So now this problem will give us a time complexity of root n times n, which is going to be around 3 times 10 to the 7th for this problem, which is sufficient to pass. So this is the USACO 2020 February contest gold problem 3 of delegation. Is harder than the last two because it's DP. DP always requires a lot more thinking than others, but I would say it's still pretty easy. This contest overall is just way easier than past USACO. So yeah, I hope this video helped. Thanks for watching.